Item number 1 on the agenda is consideration of a motion to rotate the chairship of the Board of Commissioners.
Commissioners, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we rotate the chair to Commissioner Hopes for 2019.
Second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Now you're really it.
Now I am. Item number 2, presentation of Carbon County Employee of the Month. That was scratched off on my agenda. Does that mean we don't have?
We did it the first of the month.
Perfect. Okay. Item number 3, approval of minutes. Commissioners, we have a couple sets of minutes here. Let's go through them separately. First, we'll do the November 20th, 2019 minutes. Does anybody have any corrections or changes to those minutes?
I didn't have any. I would go ahead and make a motion that, unless there was some from Commissioner Miller or yourself.
I don't have any.
No, I see none.
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the November 20th, 2018 Commission minutes.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. The next set of minutes we have is the December 5th meeting. Do we have any corrections or changes on those minutes?
I don't see any.
I don't have any.
No changes? Do we have a motion?
I'll go ahead and make the motion to approve.
We have a motion
I'll second that.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Let us know if you have any audio, if we need to turn volume up for you, Jake. Commissioner Miller.
I'll just speak louder, I think.
Okay. Item number 4, Mayor of East Carbon, Mayor Avery is here. We'll turn the time over to him.
Gentlemen and ladies, thank you for the opportunity to address the commission this evening or afternoon as we close out another year. In the early 40s, a group that we now know as the Grassy Trail Riding Club would go west of town, put their cars in a circle along with the spectators, and they would pull off a rodeo. Wouldn't you like to have a video?
Yes.
That evolved eventually to the new arena being built in Sunnyside Canyon or Whitmore Canyon, whichever you prefer. And ever since, they held a rodeo every year. Now, commissioners, you know that 2018 was quite iffy as to whether we were going to have a rodeo or not because of the condition of the arena. I contacted Commissioner Hopes, asked for some help. Could we get some sand? Well, it wasn't in the budget. And I understand budgets too, I deal with them. He came back to me later, probably that day, and said, what about crusher fines? Can you use crusher fines? So I contacted Dale Andrews and asked him, and he says, yes, we'll take them. Then the bad news came again. You're going to have to figure out a way to get them there. And I didn't have equipment that big, or didn't know if I could get somebody to do that for us. But it wasn't an hour later, Carbon County trucks are rolling up the highway, full of crusher fines heading for the arena. So I follow them up. They're pulling into the arena, dumping and pulling off. And I met one of your supervisors, I believe it's Ray. Is that right? Ray. Mm-hmm. He says, Mayor, there's no way you can have a rodeo in this arena. I wouldn't bring my horses in here. Well, he was just backing up what we believed anyway. He says, these trucks will run until they can't run anymore today. And we're expecting some downtown time during the week, and they'll run again. ECDC donated their grader. The rest is history. The rodeo for 2018, they sold over 2,000 tickets. The stock was the best. The participants were excellent. We rock and rolled until 11 or 12 o'clock in the morning for 2 nights. We all met right here with John Curtis. And he talked about Highway 6 and other issues. After that meeting was over, a young man approached me from Mayor Corianis' student council. Said to me, "Do you know what Carbon County needs, Mayor?" "Well, no. What do you think Carbon County needs?" He says, "We need East Carbon to put on one more rodeo." So I went home and I talked to Dale Andrews about that, and he looked at me like I was crazy. "You know how much time and how much work, how much commitment, how much financial commitment it takes to put on a rodeo?" Well, I had an idea of how much that would take. So I'm just passing the word along. What Carbon County needs is one more rodeo, it sounds like. So whether it's in East Carbon or whether it's in Price, keep that in mind. This is what the student council had told me that Carbon County needs, after we already heard John Curtis telling us what we could do and what we needed.
Good thing is we have one more rodeo. USU has a rodeo club, and they put on an annual rodeo here every year.
Good
at
deal.
the Carbon County Event Center. So
Well, I hope you didn't mean we need one more besides that, so, or we're all in trouble. Commissioners, you helped us with the carbon medical situation and the new clinic. We had issues with land, with surveying. There's a lot of hoops that need to be jumped through. You should see it today. The steel is up and it's being skinned, so it's soon to be there. We're excited, as you can imagine. It's a big deal for Carbon County. East Carbon's trying to do their part there. Remember, it's 300 miles out there, but it's only 30 miles back. Where else can you go and be diagnosed and treated for kidney stones, walk across the hall, see a dentist, and have your wisdom teeth pulled the same day? So I know that sounds exciting, but that's the arrangement and the setup that will be at that clinic. I have one of your ambulances on loan. Thanks for that. I signed the paperwork on a new one yesterday. You want to trade? Thanks to 3 mayors, a county commissioner, and several others, they put this ambulance as #1 on the Carbon County priority list, which didn't hurt a bit when we went after funding, so appreciate all of that. Carbon County was there to help us chip the streets. Saved us tens of thousands. Jay, we were flooding away. I called you. You were on vacation. Said, "Dave, what do you need?" It wasn't an hour or so later that sandbags and equipment was made available to us. Jake, you were there for the groundbreaking of the new clinic. We beat you up pretty good that day. We give you a bad time. I told my wife, I bet he never comes back. But I think he'll be happy to come back. We had a good time. That was well worth the trip, well worth the time that we spent together. And like I said, we're all excited about that. Jake, the work you're doing on economic development at this point is still mind-boggling, but I think we're on board, and we'll be with you for quite a while there. Two of you are going. Wish you the best as you move on. 2 new are coming on. Nothing but the best for them also. So from the mayor, from East Carbon City, from East Carbon Rec, East Carbon Ambulance Service, Carbon Medical, this list goes on. Just like to say thanks. Appreciate you for being there and standing with us, helping us through the good and the bad. And to that point, have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a great partnership that we have with our cities. We help out in a lot of different ways where we can. Appreciate those kind words. We didn't even pay him for those, so thank you.
You will pay.
Then we look forward to it.
Item number 5 on the agenda, open sealed bid for rock product for Carbon County Flood Projects 2018. Commissioners, this is in coordination with our EWP projects. As you know, there are 2 engineering firms and possibly multiple contractors that will bid on this work. Part of the time constraints that we have is getting the available rock. We only have 1 available rock pit that we're going to pull our rock from. It needs to be blasted and sorted for the 2 different projects. And so it was advised that we put out a separate bid to blast and sort the rock for all of the projects, and have that an independent contractor outside of it. It may be the same contractor as the others, but it could be a completely separate contractor that would blast and sort the rock, and that's what we're opening now.
We have 5 bids. The first one's from Brown Brothers Construction out of Loa, Utah. We have a couple of pieces of information we're just trying to get here just to verify that it's an acceptable bid. And then the bid amount looks like it's $437,946.25.
437 what?
$946.25. Sorry. Keep those together. Thanks. The second one is from Nelco Construction or Contractors. Got everything? Okay.
I did forget to mention, some of this also includes some hauling of rock to one of the sites.
Correct. This one looks like it's for 1.3 million, or $1,387,230. And I'm sure there's probably some differences in these bids, but we don't have time to go through the details, so we'll just read the basics here and then let Curtis review them. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is Nelson Construction. And the bid amount is $531,135.75. That's Nelson Construction. This one's from Perco Rock in Panguitch, Utah. This one's for $592,183. And this one's from TSJ Construction, sorry, out of Cleveland. And this one's for $1,571,066.05. Those are all the bids that we received.
I'd make a motion to acknowledge the 5 bids, also acknowledging that the Brown Brothers bid is the lowest at this point, but that they need to be reviewed for accuracy and for total project, and then awarded.
And I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion
Thank you.
passes. Item number 6, report on intergenerational poverty grant from the Intergenerational Poverty Coordinator, Tristan Garvin. Welcome.
And I mentioned that Tristan is brand new, so excited to hear his introduction.
All right. Well, so the county has been working on a grant for an IGP program, and in that grant they had written in for them to hire somebody. And so I'm Tristan Garvin, and I'm who they hired as the IGP coordinator. So for the report, I just wanted to go over that we've just submitted the baseline report, and that we just got that submitted, so we kind of know what direction we're going in now and what we have to work with. We also have the IGP implementation committee up and going, and that's working with Head Start, strengthening families through JJS, the Department of Workforce Services, the YTRI program, Circles Carbon County, and some of the high school counselors, and then Gear Up through the college. So they're all part of that committee, and so we're working to get things going together where we're actually gaining some momentum. We also just at the AOG we just met with Seth Marsing for getting some of the details down for how we're going to receive the funding and who that will go through. And then we're just excited to get things going and get working on this so that we can see some real changes and see some improvement in the area.
Thank you, Tristan.
Thank you.
It's good to have you in our area.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tristan.
Item number 7 on the agenda, consideration and possible adoption of ordinance number 509, amending the accrual dates for business license late fees. Is this coming out of your office, Christian?
Yeah, Seth Marsing asked me to prepare this. This new schedule will be more compatible actually with their software tracking, with their software which tracks late fees and business license renewals, and it also provides a bit of a break to our citizens if they're late. It doesn't immediately impose a 100% penalty until March 31st, whereas it used to be at the end of January, I believe. So the way it's written, if you adopt this, is that there is a 25% penalty after January 31st. If you're past February, the end of February, it's 50%. If you go past March, it's 100%. If you go past April, it's 200%. And Seth can mention if he had any other reasons he wanted to put on the record as to why we went forward with this.
Yeah, the main things like Christian mentioned, the software we use for accounting, doesn't allow us to do our business licenses because we've always had a weekly increase in the fees for our late fees for business licenses. So this is going to allow us to automate the process. It's going to save a lot of time. Everything was done manually before. When we had to send out late fees or notices, we'd have to manually type those up and send them out and all kinds of different things. So as Christian mentioned, we used to have a weekly increase. It went from 10% all the way up to 200% in a matter of about 4 weeks, or 8 weeks, I apologize. But this is going to be a monthly increase, so it will be a decrease actually in what we charge in our late fees for business licenses, so it would be great for that. But so yeah, that's the main reasoning behind it. So
Commissioners, do we have any questions?
I don't.
No, this was partially explained earlier, so I make a motion to approve and adopt.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
That's ordinance number 509.
Yes, ordinance number 509. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Thanks for your work on that. Item number 8, consideration and possible approval of a contract with David Handy as part-time prosecutor. This, I'm sure, is coming out of the Attorney's Office.
That's correct, Commissioners. This is a contract to allow a local attorney, David Handy, to assist the County Attorney's Office up to 20 hours a week. He'll be paid $30 an hour. If he does so, he'll have to track his time and turn in a payment request. To do that, he's going to be helping with initially with misdemeanor type matters. We do have some grant funding that's going to provide for some of that. Or we may move grant funding to allow us to use money that's already budgeted. But so this is already within the budget as contemplated for 2019, and it will simply allow the County Attorney's Office to get a little bit more work done more timely.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve this agreement on the legal services with David Handy.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. Item number 9, consideration and possible approval of Bear Grant contract. Is Rita in here? There she is. She's hiding. I'll let Rita explain what's happening here.
Oh, I don't know what's happening. I'm just kidding. Sorry. I was just trying to be funny on their last commission meeting, right?
Hilarious.
So the contract is for a grant that we applied for with the Governor's Office of Economic Development. It provides for additional funding to help with the expense of reaching out and working on the business expansion for local businesses. So there were, we've already actually approved the contract. We made some amendments to the scope of work to include a committee that we are working with of community members to help with recruiting the businesses basically, and I guess not recruiting, gathering and helping to work with businesses to help with their expansion.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? A lot of this falls in line with our economic development plan that we have going forward, the Lewis Young, Robertson, and Birmingham study that we're following right now. It falls in line with our committees. It also involves them in this process and uses their help, as Rita was saying, to fulfill the obligations in this Bear contract for the additional money.
And I also forgot to mention that part of the it's a matching grant, and the matching portion of the grant is a portion of my pay as well as the commissioners, as you serve on different committees, and but on this particular committee, helping with the outreach and all of that. And then the in-kind is for the committees and their volunteering, because the majority of those members are volunteers. So that's the in-kind contribution from the community.
And the grant specifically is going for or toward helping local businesses find incentives, programs, and different opportunity either at the state, federal, or local level that can help them grow and expand their business if they're ready to grow.
Correct. And then identifying maybe some of the challenges or obstacles that they may be facing, and possibly, as an example, if workforce is one of the issues, we have the employee recruitment and development committee that we can pass that information on to them and have them help with it. And then working in conjunction with other programs like the Custom Fit program with USU and the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, working with our local Bear outreach group that goes out and does weekly visits and asking them for referrals, and referring for the PTAC program. So it's just a matter of I guess the easiest way to explain it is getting the businesses talking to the right people and the right resources to help them to grow, and then also to help to overcome some of those challenges.
It definitely helps expand the reach of your office and being able to benefit the whole county. It also looks like I know that we had mentioned before, but I believe the grant is $25,000.
Yes.
So definitely helps in that process.
Yes, and it brings a lot of the groups together. I forgot the AOG as they're sitting back here, but right. They're a great partner as well. They help me a ton, and so it's just making sure that the businesses have that pool of resources and that pool of support, and just bringing them all together is kind of a part of that.
Rita, one version of the grant I saw, maybe this has changed now, says that the state reserves the right to demand a refund of the full amount of the grant if we breach any of the terms of the agreement. Did you see that part? And maybe that's your highlighting I'm looking at. So my concern, and maybe this is yours too, is there's all these reports, so many reports that have to be done, and we have to record and track all. I mean, if we're lax on our tracking, are we going to have to pay this money all back?
So that was one of my concerns with the state, and that was another reason for the amendments, because I said, the original scope of work and the outcomes that I put into the work plan were very specific. And I said, but if, as an example, if I'm going to get X amount of rural fast track grants, how am I to ensure that the work on the other end is being done? Because, as we had one where a company paid a portion of the project and they were denied the grant. I said, so how am I supposed to control that and meet these outcomes? And so if you look at the outcomes, we actually changed, and we weren't as specific as we were in the initial version, in saying that we would provide referrals to basically all of GOED programs, all of USDA, referring to the revolving loan fund with the AOG. So we broadened the outcomes, because just GOED programs aren't the only things available out there. So that was actually a recommendation from GOED, because I said that same thing. I says, I can't pay this back. And so they suggested expanding the outcomes so that we could meet them more realistically and wouldn't have to pay it back.
I believe the funding is also a reimbursement. We end up paying for it, and then they will reimburse us at the end.
Based on the reporting.
Based on the reporting.
Yes.
Okay. So it makes
that does help.
It's not really going to be ever a repayment type situation.
No.
Probably, huh?
No.
I mean, they're only going to give it to us if they're happy.
If I give them the proper reporting, yes.
Okay.
So.
Thanks for explaining.
But it still made me a little nervous.
I hadn't seen those changes, so I think I must have neglected to look at the updated one, or didn't get it. But so I'm glad you took care of that.
I apologize. I thought that it was in
you might
the
have given
just where, but yeah.
It might be.
Okay.
I may have just missed it. So.
Okay. No worries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
Very good. Where these changes have taken place, we probably need to make a motion on that, Christian, to adopt the changed contract?
Yeah, I think that's.
That'd be okay. So let me make that motion then, that we go ahead and approve the corrections and the adjustments to the Bear contract.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you all, and
Motion passes. Thanks, Rita.
thank you, Jay, and thank you, Jake, or Commissioner Potter, Commissioner Meller. I'm done torturing you two. Commissioner Hopes, still going to torture you for a bit. Okay.
Thank you, Rita.
Thanks, Rita. Item number 10, consideration of possible appointment of a member to Planning Commission Board to fill the board vacancy on the alternate member. Commissioners, we didn't receive any applicants, so we'll have to re-advertise that for that. While we're on that, one of the Housing Authority Board members, and I'm not sure if I forwarded that email, we need to reappoint or appoint another Housing Board member to that position as well. They had one that will not be able to fill his term. It's Brian Salzetti, so we'll need to figure out what the length of the term that he has left and advertise for that as well. Yes. Item number 11, review and possible approval of MOU with the Association of Local Governments for the Senior Center. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm Robbie Jensen, and as we've been discussing, the to be appointed Senior Center Director in Carbon County. For the MOU, I believe you received that email with the amendments this morning. The amendments for the MOU have the total contribution from Carbon County at $47,870, which includes the center director salary as well as fringe and indirect cost. So we were able to rework those numbers and get that down to the $47,870. And I think that's everything for the MOU. Were there any other questions or concerns with that?
No, I just wanted to express my appreciation to you and to Jerry and also to Emery County. This is in coordination with Emery County to bring you on to the AOG full time. And basically run both senior or aging programs in both counties. We're excited about the opportunity. It does help us on our budget. And I know there was some other things as of yesterday that we were still trying to work out, but we appreciate all the effort that's gone into this, and we hope this will be a good thing for the county moving forward.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and I too think that there will be some great opportunities for both Emery and Carbon County with this going forward. So thank you.
If we can keep the old football rivalries out of it, maybe they could even have some activities together.
Maybe, we'll see. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, did we approve that?
What's that?
We need to approve that.
Yes, we will need to approve this.
I'll make the motion to approve.
We have a motion.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you.
I would just add to that Robbie actually has some education and background in the elderly and in his vocation. So it's a unique step for us to take to join with Emery County and make this move together.
Yes, it is. He has a degree in geriatric programming. So he's a great fit for this, and from what Emery County is touting, he does a great job as well. Not just that he has the education, but he also does a great job. So thanks for pointing that out. I have a note to table item number 12. I'll take a motion on that.
Motion to table.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item number 13, review and possible approval of a memorandum of understanding between Carbon County and the BLM establishing procedures, yes, not producers, procedures for noxious plant control. Commissioners, this is similar to the ones that we've done in the past. I believe there's a slight decrease in the amount that they're giving us from, I think it was about 10,000 last year. This year it's 7,000. This is this is to help control the weeds on properties that we control that adjoin those of the BLM. It helps us to kind of spray across the boundaries. They give us some money and we contract some of that work with them. They also come out and help on some spray days as well.
Now, Commissioner Holmes, I remember last year we had given some instruction to the road department and to the folks that do the weed spraying to see if they couldn't keep track of the amount of work we put into this, so that we know better as a county if this is if the portion the BLM pays us actually covers the total cost, or if it's just a minor subsidy towards the cost that we put into performing this work. And I'm not sure that we've been able to follow up with them to find out if that's the case or what those numbers really are. Do you have any information on that?
I do not. I didn't receive anything. I can follow up with that though.
I think it would be good going forward just to keep track of this as we continue to have MOUs with other government agencies that we track our bottom line. That way, if we need to, we can tell them that we either need to cut back on what we do for them, or, you know, understandably recognize it just as a minor subsidy rather than trying to portray it as something that they're paying for the work we're doing for them, so to speak.
Yeah. Sometimes even just the fact that we're able to spray across boundaries is a help, because if they're not controlling it on their side, at least if we can control the boundary lines, it helps. So, but yes, I'll follow up on that. So
the MOU definitely is important for the reasons you just mentioned, because weeds are no respecters of fences or boundaries. So we definitely want to make it as easy as possible. This is just to recognize, you know, how far their support really goes towards that effort.
Yep. Thank you.
But anyway, I'd make a motion to approve this MOU.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 14, consideration and possible approval of MOU with Helper City for use and training of polygraph examiner. Christian, do you have information on this one?
Yes, Commissioners. Helper City has sent their police chief, Trent Anderson, to the polygraph examiner school. He would like to become a licensed polygraph examiner while he continues to work as a Helper City police officer and the police chief there. We have money from a grant that will help pay for part of that training. As you know, Will Drawn has worked for the county for many years as licensed polygraph examiner. His career is winding down. He may only be with us for a couple more years, at which point, if he were to retire within the next several years, we'd be without a polygraph examiner. And we've relied on Detective Drawn for many years very heavily on many cases, especially child sex abuse cases. So some of our most intense and difficult cases have been solved and resolved by him. And so he's done invaluable work for us, and we'll probably soon be without him within a number of years here. And so Chief Anderson would like to kind of fill that role, but continue to be the Helper City Police Chief. And because the county has some money that could pay for his training for the tuition for his polygraph examiner school, which is he's already attended, and because Will Drawn is willing to provide mentorship in allowing him to conduct the number of polygraph examinations that he needs to take under the supervision, direct supervision of a licensed polygraph examiner, the county's really providing some real incentive and ability for Mr. Anderson to get the training he needs that he would otherwise not be able to receive. Absent Will John being here, there's no way Chief Anderson could get this done and become a licensed polygraph examiner and still have the job he has at Helper City. So if you agree to this provides that we will contribute $2,500 from our Violence Against Women Act grant that we have funds from, and Will John will allow Trent Anderson to start administering polygraph exams under his supervision. And so we should have him then able to act as a licensed polygraph examiner, and in return for that, the county would receive the use of Mr. Anderson's polygraph skills for a period of 3 years without additional compensation being required from the county. It also provides that he could use the county's polygraph equipment and maintain and use the offices that we have here in the polygraph examination room in the county attorney's office. So we feel like this would be a great benefit still for our county attorney's office, and enables us to have that service here.
Thank you. I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with Helper City in the amount of $2,500.
We have a motion.
I bet Trent would even appreciate the extra experience doing work for the county over the next 3 years. Yeah, I'll definitely second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 15, public hearing on amendments to the 2018 budget. Seth, we'll turn it over to you to walk through what those amendments are, and then we'll open up our public hearing.
For sure. A lot of what we're doing with these amendments, because it's the last month of the year, is we're showing an increase to a budget item, revenue item, to realize revenues that we've already received and make those correspond to accounts, expenditure accounts where we've overspent the budgets in those areas, whether just because there was unexpected expenses or simply because it was an oversight in the budget process for the prior year. So just overview some of the changes that we're making. For Fund 10, which is our general fund, we'll show an increase in our revenues, or our budgeted revenues, of $200,000, as well as increase in expenditures, budgeted expenditures of about $200,000. And the items where those are coming into place mainly include the assessor's office, where we hadn't budgeted for one of their full-time employees. We weren't sure if she was going to stay on at the time we did the budget last year, and she obviously did. So we needed to increase their budget there so that they didn't go over budget in their department. Same for our insurance, our unemployment insurance, as well as our workers' compensation insurance. They were a little higher than we expected this year. Other areas that we increased budgets in Fund 10 include the sheriff's office and jail. Those were mainly, it was about $78,000 or $79,000, and that was because of buying the two vehicles we recently did. We wanted to move those up to 2018 because we did have a good year of revenues. We wanted to show using that money this year and take care of it now instead of having to budget for it next year. We also increased their Board of Prison and inmate health care just in an effort to help them so they didn't go over budget. They were just concerned because they do have a lot of inmates over there right now. So that's Fund 10. In Fund 20, we also, this was our biggest increase. It was an increase of about $400,000 that we budgeted for revenue increase and for expenditure increase. Half of that was for prepaying our fire contract and some of our dispatch contract for next year. Again, just another way to save us for our budgeting for next year, where we had a good year of revenues this year. The other half of it was to show a realization of the East Carbon project that was discussed earlier, where we helped them with chipping roads, as well as a Wellington project. So just to show that, and then put put that back into Daniel's budget if he needed to use it this year. The other increases was for Fund 45, our capital projects. We increased that budget by about $90,000. That was mainly for Barry Horsley. He had some projects that he wanted to finish up in 2019. We asked him to do them in 2018 instead, and again save us for our budget next year. And then lastly, Fund 56 was, we increased that by $172,000. The majority of that was to realize revenues we had already received from Duchesne Special Service District that we hadn't budgeted for 9 Mile Road, about $150,000 there. And then we also received an increase in what we received for debt payments from the Special Service District. So those were the increases on the revenue side, and that was shown being used as far as increasing budget for the Hilltop, where we've spent a little bit of money there this year, about $80,000 to start that project. And also there was a debt service reserve payment for the 7th District Court that we didn't budget for. So, but just want to emphasize that this is all revenue that we'd already realized or already received. It was just showing it in the budget as an increased budget item. This didn't include any of the mineral lease money that we've talked about being good this year. This was outside of that, so it's been good for us. So that's all I had, unless you had any questions.
Well, and just a comment before we get into the public hearing, in that with that increase in revenue and the planning for even next year, that caused the county not to have to use approximately $2 million in excess that was programmed into the 18 budget. And so as we go forward, that's a huge thing to overcome in 1 year, plus to have 2019's budget as an even basis with no reserves being put into it. So that was good news, that we had well-managed departments, more income than we anticipated.
Yep, both of those are true. Thanks.
Any further discussion before we open the public hearing?
Anything else?
I see none.
We'll open this public hearing at 5:17. Anyone that would like to speak to this, please come to the mic, state your name, and welcome, Scott.
My name's Scott Wheeler, and I came to a meeting here like 2 or 3 months ago, and I thought we were in debt quite a ways, and I'm surprised that we're spending more money. Maybe I just didn't hear it correctly, but you went over several line items and a total. How much did that total, Seth?
It's probably about $700,000.
Okay, do we have funds to pay for all that?
Revenue increase this year was $2.5 million.
You're going to have to talk louder. You're speak too soft.
The revenue increase that we realized that was not budgeted was $2.5 million.
That's just a mineral lease money.
Just the mineral lease.
And that didn't include any of this. These are all things that were missed in the budgeting process last year, not only on the expenditure side, but also on the revenue side. So when we go through here and we say we're increasing expenditures for these items, we've also realized that much money in revenue this year that was not budgeted. So they even each other out. We're not spending extra money that we don't have. This is an increase in.
That's the question I'm having. We're not spending money we don't have right now. Okay,
Correct.
So we have money to take care of what we got right now.
Those changes, yes.
Okay, 2 months ago, I thought we were in the hole a ways. That's not the case. We found money someplace.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I got the impression here 2 or 3 months ago when I was sitting here listening to the commissioners didn't have a clue, how much money they had or didn't have, and have we figured that out?
We have a better understanding, and part of the conversation we had, and I'm not sure if we're talking about the same conversation, is we did realize extra revenues this year, and that's why we were able to buy or purchase some of our equipment this year, so that our expenditures in 2019 are lower. So next year's budget, we've budgeted to not spend.
You become more efficient. Is that what you're saying to me? You did a better job.
In some ways, it's not a full answer, but because of the extra revenue we received through mineral lease and different things, we were able to for this year and 2019, it makes our budgets look really good.
Okay, a couple other questions I have. Again, I can't hear real well, but you said you kept on one employee and it cost $200,000 in the assessor's office to keep that one employee?
No, it was $45,000.
Okay.
That was part of Fund 10, which was including
okay.
the Sheriff's Department and stuff like that.
It's a good question, though.
Yep.
Okay, well, I was getting
No, that's great.
bits and pieces there, and I just wanted to ask that. And also, are we putting money away that maybe in the future, if we run out of money, that we have a little set aside and not spend every bit of money, extra money we're getting in?
So maybe I can
Go ahead,
speak
Seth.
to this. So we had actually had a financial review meeting today, and we budgeted this year to go into our reserves quite a bit. The way it looks this year, without any real emergencies, we'll have considerable amount of money that we will bank this year, however you want to say that. Instead of taking money out of our reserves this year, we'll be adding to it.
Okay, so essentially we have brought in more money than we're spending.
Yes.
This year, correct.
This
Cool.
year.
Okay, I like that. That makes me feel a lot better than I did 2 or 3 months ago when I came in here.
Yeah, well, and you may be thinking of our audit report from last
Right,
year,
I
where
was,
it wasn't
yes.
great, and we did spend money out of our reserves. But this year,
17.
again, you'll see, and it will take a couple months before our audit report comes out, but you'll see this year that it's a lot different story. We'll be the opposite way, not taking money, but adding money to our reserves.
And I'm sure this gets asked all the time, but is there a way to review this before I come here so I can have maybe some of the answers taken care of so I don't have to ask?
Yeah, so this is this is a copy of our full budget and the amendments, and it's available in our office usually about 8 to 10
It's
days.
not online then, so I have to come to the office, right?
No, it's online as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't dig deep enough. For
No,
it.
you're good. On our website, it says 2019 budget with 2018 budget amendments, so it has both of them on there. So
Okay. Any other questions I should ask you? Sometimes I don't know all the questions I should ask you guys.
no, but the good thing is that you're here and that you're asking questions.
Well, I am. I
Thank
seen
you
that
for
on the
being here.
line
We
item of the
appreciate
budget,
that.
and I left here a few months ago, and I was aghast that you guys didn't know where you were at on your budget. And it sounds to me like you're getting
Yeah,
a better feel for where you're at.
yeah, we
Yes.
do.
Okay.
Scott, in all fairness to that comment that you're making, it's a matter of that we have better reporting over these months. And I want to thank Seth Marsing, not only in his preliminary fill-in period, but also as the new elected official, for what that really means, so that we have a good eye on things and can actually do a great job with budgeting and monitoring it. So,
Well, I know there were some concerns about you coming in and stuff, and I had some concerns, but I talked to you about several different items, and I felt that he was going to work hard at it. And it sounds like that's happening, so appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Michelle.
I'm Michelle Goldsmith, and I just have a couple questions. And I agree, I think things are coming along much better. Kudos to everybody here, and thank you to the commissioners that are outgoing for the job that you've done. I know everybody's done the best that they could under the circumstances and the monies that they had to work with, so thank you. Seth, one of the questions I wanted to ask you today is how many county employees do we have?
There's approximately 240 if we include full-time and part-time.
Okay.
That's per our HR director today. It may be closer to 230 or 220 in my estimation, but yeah,
Okay,
we're right
so-
around that 230 area.
So between 220 and 240. All right. Do you know how many are female and how many are male?
I don't know the statistics there.
Okay. And do you know how many are seniors over 65?
I don't
So,
know.
Ms. Goldsmith, these questions are to be addressed to we're taking comments on the budget itself, on the proposed amendments to the budget.
Right.
So, these are not questions addressed to the proposed budget.
Okay.
So,
I
I mean, it's up to the commissioners if they want to give you some leeway to this, but these are questions that are better answered by our personnel director and further, they're not budget questions. So if the commissioners cut you off on this, I mean, this is, and further, it's more time to give comment rather than to ask questions generally about the county operations.
Understood, thank you.
Okay.
I do have one more question. I don't know if it is a budget one or not, forgive my ignorance. So earlier, we were saying that Carbon County is paying Robbie Jensen $47,870 on a MOU. Is that our share and then Emery County pays the other half of that? Or how does that work on the budget? And is that this year's budget or next year's?
That's a great question. So Debbie Colby is the senior director till the end of the year.
Right.
Robbie will take over and start at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And our portion of that is that $47,000. Emery County will also have a similar portion. It's close to about that same amount.
Okay.
And he will be the director for both centers.
Is that salary or salary and benefits? That's it.
Both. Anyone else?
I might just say, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but I mean, Robbie, for one, he has a great background in this, and so that's one reason we've chosen to bring him on, if I can speak that way. But also, it is a savings for us. It's a net savings bringing him on, as far as the budget's concerned.
The 19 budget.
Yeah. It doesn't change the 18 budget, but it does the 19. With no one scrambling to reach the mic, we'll close this public hearing at 5:27. Item number 16 on the agenda is consideration of possible adoption of a resolution number 2018-19 approving adjustments to the 2018 county budget.
I'd make a motion that we go ahead and approve that resolution 2018-19 for the adjustments to the 2018 county budget.
I'll go ahead and second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item number 17, consideration of possible approval of authorization for Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments to seek EDA funding for rural diversification project on behalf of county and approval of contribution of matching funds.
Hi.
Jerry, how are
I'm
you?
Jerry with Southeastern Utah Association of Local Governments, but I'll be representing the Economic Development District portion of our agency. First, I want to thank your commission secretary for getting me on last minute. I really appreciate the changes. And this grant began about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. It started out being a partnership with MEP, the University of Utah part, that manufacturing part, and it stemmed from the aerospace tour that occurred here. So it was a grant that was going to get that certification out for AS1000, but then as I had a little more experience on our needs in the area, originally Uinta Basin was going to be the sponsor. We took that, and now Southeastern is taking on the role. But it's more going to be not just the AS1000 certification for businesses in the area, but it's e-commerce and global marketing and stuff to help people grow their online presence with their business as well. So it's a $100,000 grant to EDA. Originally, it was $10,000 we had asked from the counties. We grew that, so it's 7 counties. It's the full Uinta Basin and then the 4 counties in the southeast. Every county has pledged support in the Uinta Basin. We're asking today for the Carbon County Commission, and we've reduced it down to 1,000 for the matching component of this EDA grant. So it's 1,000 a year, so 19, 20, 21, 1,000 a year. Every county has approved this except for Carbon and Grand County. Grand County's in January. They're holding their council meeting to approve that or not. So Actually, Ethan is bringing in the bulk of that match money, because for the 100,000 we're asking, you need 100,000 matching. It's 50-50. He'll be bringing in about 50,000. With the 7 counties and the 3,000 a year, that's 21,000. We have 18,000 with our outreach, which is part of how people bill their salary and benefits for doing their outreach for their business part. And then we have 5,000 or 4,000 from Bear, Castle Country Bear, and then 5,000 from the Business and Technical Assistance Center. So that's how we'll get our matching component. And really, we have even more cash match if you look at even more salaries that'll come into play for people doing part of the outreach job. So that's what we're asking. And Ethan had thought maybe it would be good to have the counties have a little skin in the game. So, but we were able to reduce that down from 10,000 to 1,000 with how much he's contributing. So that's the goal, and we'll have the full 7 counties, and hopefully it's about 60 businesses we want to help with, and most of that grant goes to the businesses for the certification. It's not anything to give anybody more money in their salary or anything like that. So the grant is fully just for the certification.
Very good.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Jerry?
No, I'd just like to applaud Jerry for working on this. It's been a long time in coming, and there's been some just political battles to overcome, but it has the potential to be very good for our community and for those 60 businesses that she's identified for all of Eastern Utah. And so this is just an example of how they're not looking out just for themselves, but they're looking out for all of us, and how helping each other might better the community at large. So just a little applause for Jerry and the Association of Local Governments, and thank you for sticking through with it to make it come to reality.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
And make a motion to approve.
We have a motion. Do you have any questions?
I don't. I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you very much.
Before we close out the agenda, I just want to express my appreciation to Commissioner Miller and Commissioner Potter for the service that they rendered to our community. Thank you, Jerry.
I wanted to say thank you to you guys and to Jake Miller for all his support as well. We really appreciate the partnership, really. So thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to say it's been fun, but the last few years have been a little bit rough. I've seen Commissioner Miller's hair go from a dark, kind of almost black, to a almost silver in some areas. But appreciate the service that they've rendered to our community, as well as the others that we serve with. As was stated tonight, we've seen some improvements to our budgets, to some fortuitousness, and also some hard work. So I just wanted to say publicly thank you for your service to our community.
You know, Commissioner, I'd just like to say it is a privilege to serve in any of those capacities, and really when you take on those roles, there's a lot to learn. And so I wish our new incoming commissioners all the best, and may their learning curve be steep and quick. But it is also a great opportunity to work with the community, and also especially here with those employees that the county has. They're a great bunch of people, and they often don't get told that, and so I want to publicly thank all of them and those that we have association with as this chapter in my life comes to a close, and thanks for letting me serve.
Well, I appreciate those kind words that have been shared. I really don't have anything else to add other than I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a very prosperous New Year.
With that, I'll take a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned, and drive safe, buckle up, and have a Merry Christmas.